Good evening, Monadnock region, and welcome back to the Space Lounge. This is GOMO Tonight, your only weekly local interest comedy podcast. I'm your host, Chris DiLoretto, and I'm here with my benevolent and wonderful co-hosts,
Zoe Roten-Heinsman.
And Sam Abbott.
Thank you for joining me in here tonight, and thank you all for joining us here in the lounge. Now, we are recording today. We're actually recording a little bit earlier than usual to accommodate travel and holidays. So it is, you can see we've got the Santa hats on, to some of us. And it's the 20th. This is Monday, the 20th of December, and this episode will come out between Christmas and New Year's. This is actually going to be the New Year's episode. Please indulge our Santa hats after the fact. It's Christmas until January 6th, so let it be. But you'll be hearing this episode after the fact. So this is kind of we'll still consider this another special holiday, special New Year's type of episode. So this week in the Monadnock region, our top headline: Andrew Osterman seeks a good Christmas for the Fight Club kids. And
I mean, yes, he was seeking that on Facebook this week, wasn't he?
so
he went
this
to the
was
police. He went to the police and were like, "Can you give me the names of some kids who got in trouble for wanting to start a fight club?" And the police were like, "No, you weirdo." And so he took it to Facebook, right?
yeah. So this is
As anybody would.
As any good citizen wishing to bring Christmas cheer to the good Fight Club aspirants of the town, of the region, I should say, would do. No, so for those of you who are blissfully ignorant, say, of the Peterborough, New Hampshire Facebook group, the famous Peterborough, New Hampshire Facebook group, every once in a while a post comes along and you see it and you just know that it's special. You just know this is one of the gems. This is one of the all-time classics that people are going to remember. Hopefully they're going to screenshot it, there wasn't always an outlet like GOMO Tonight to immortalize it in audio and video like there is now. But this is one such thing. This is the best one in quite some time. So I do, hearty congratulations all around. Let me actually just read the post. This is from December 17th at 2:48 p.m. And it did, just so everyone knows, it spawned 23 reactions and 123 comments to date. But even those numbers belie the true significance of what really went on here, I think. So this is from Andrew. An odd Christmas-related question for the community. Earlier this year, several boys in town were looking to start a fight club at Adams Playground. The recreation department was concerned and asked PPD, Peterborough Police Department, officers to serve a no trespass order on the boys in question, which would make it a crime for them to enter the playground. Some are apparently current Conval students, while others are recent graduates. I understand why the Recreation Committee would be concerned, but the idea of using police to prevent Peterborough kids from entering the playground never sat well with me. Given the time of year, I was looking to reach out to these boys with a Christmas present and a little good cheer. I spoke with the police department this morning to get the contact information for the families involved. The sergeant on duty explained that they would not proactively release any details, and if I wanted to know anything more, I would need to sue the town to force them to release the publicly available information. Obviously, this seems a little excessive, not to mention something that wouldn't resolve in the next 8 days. I am curious if anyone on this board knows the families involved and if they might know a way to contact them. As a parent myself, I am very sensitive to the potentially intrusive nature of the ask, so I am looking to speak with the parents only. Thanks in advance for any help. So, I think I saw that relatively early on. And I mean, my first reaction, I think, is the same reaction that most people had, which is, yes, the first two words of this post, this is odd, and Christmas related, are true. They are true facts. this this is an odd this is an odd story. I think for a number of reasons, and and I should say for our listeners to date, I mean, this could definitely change between now and release time, but to date, I do not believe that Andrew has been successful in his quest. Um, Even though I did wish that I wish I said, may God guide you in this quest. That was my wish for him. But man, did this spark some debate between people? And I mean that may have been the intent of the post.
Although I admit I reread those comments right before recording here, and he doubled and tripled down. It did not read to me like a joke at all.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it was a joke. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
I mean,
think
I don't think
yeah.
he was just trolling the group. Like, yeah, like you know what I mean. Like, maybe he was trying to get some debate going and be a little bit stir
I
something
just
up.
don't
But I think he's serious.
I just don't know how much he is serious. I wonder how much he really cares about the Christmas cheer versus making some other point. To be honest, um, maybe that's my mistrustful nature. I don't know, but I do find it interesting the way that the post and the whole premise of the story, um, it uses this tale of charity and God, good Christian fucking giving of the
Yeah.
season, to um to rehash some story from the months ago that in his mind at least, implicates both the recreation department and the police department in making a bunch of kids sad enough that he then needs to rectify it with his Christmas
Yes, for sure,
spirit.
for sure. He's clearly like making that main point more than he is
I mean,
wanting to give Christmas charity. That is true.
why would you pick
Um,
them? You know what I mean? Like,
well, those
no
kids.
offense. Like, I'm sure they're very fine folks. Like, I'm not judging anybody or casting any dispersions, but I'm also not going to give them anything either. Sorry, but
I mean,
like, why would I?
we don't know anything about their background. I mean, he makes some assumptions about like what their socioeconomic status and like why that's why these poor kids are driven to start a fight club is because they don't have good backgrounds or something. That implication
Oh
was in his
yeah,
post.
that's very, very interesting.
I mean, I imagine Andrew reading through the rec committee minutes for the 85th time. And he's like, you know what? They banned these children from the park and I'm upset about it. That's the picture that's in my mind.
Yep, I mean that's probably not very far off. And then then there's the predictable jokes. Actually, that it came. No offense, Tyler. It came from one of our select board members that said you're not supposed to talk about Fight Club rule number one. Like, we can excuse Tyler. He actually came of age in the '90s. It's okay.
Yeah, he
But
was. I feel like that joke got made like by 8 people on that thread,
it
though.
eventually it did, because that's the problem, is that the other. So
That's
I'm
the real
half giving
problem.
Tyler credit and half ragging on him a little bit, because like, yes, it is far better to be the first person to make that joke. Um, Oh, but actually, I didn't really notice, but Andrew did not find Tyler's joke funny. He responded, "I'm not sure what's funny about filing restraining orders against kids." And Tyler agreed.
Mm.
And then Andrew threw a shot at him, um, asking him how many kids have standing no trespass orders against them by the town. Jesus Christ. And Tyler, good job, Tyler. Better than your joke was your final response, which was, "I'm not going to talk about that on Facebook. Please email the select board and we can look into it." Good. Very, very good. And I know Tyler was definitely not intending to get pulled into something. And he can be forgiven for for attempting a joke that was not well received. Um, but then there's plenty of other people that. So I mean, oh my God, the amount of different takes and opinions on this are just like, And then somebody chimes in with, and I'm not going to go down this path again. That
Are you
there's
going
been
to talk
people
about
who.
reality check?
I'm not going to go down that path again. There's people who have been very, very upset with me for how mean I've been about the bedroom searching thing. But there's a couple people on here that are like, we have a program for youths that is with reality check, and it's to like keep them off tobacco and make good decisions and stuff. Again, I'm not. You can hear it in the tone of my voice, and that says all that I need. But that's one version, and then
You
of
can
course
learn you
predictive.
can learn how to find the Chuck Palahniuk novels in there. Here are the
Yes, right.
covers of
Yes.
the novels, if you find these in your teen's bedroom, watch out.
No, if you find these in your teen's bedroom, sign them up for this new charity that we're doing here. Chris, fight. I don't know. Christmas Santa for Fight Club teens. Like, I don't know. But I'm
There's
not
a
sure.
meme
But then
page in there somewhere.
there's definitely a meme page in there somewhere. I can't believe no one tagged any kind of meme page in here. But we have another rec committee member recommending a program such as martial arts that would be for this, which, all right, productive, constructive suggestion. But I mean, my guess is, contra whatever the Andrews theory is that probably um, the folks looking to start like the bare knuckle brawling club at the playground are not necessarily looking for like the disciplined path of martial arts. You know what I mean? Like that might not. I don't. I mean, I respect the impulse, and it would be great if we had like a publicly subsidized martial arts program. Like that's kind of cool, but um, I don't know if it would prevent this. If that's sort of an and thing. Let's go ahead and do that. That's fine. But
Yeah.
it's better than reality check. So go for it. But I don't think it'll help these kids, unfortunately. And maybe these kids are totally fine. I don't know. This could have just been an idea. Look, if anybody, and I do want to actually be very clear about this though. Like, if anybody had ever recorded or chronicled on Facebook or whatever some of the ideas that I had around, I don't know, between the ages of like 16 and 25, um, they wouldn't necessarily put me in like a better category. Okay. So like, I am older and wiser, but that's not, I understand. That's why I'm not actually judging these kids, because they are kids and they're at that age. And I think that there's a lot that we hopefully excuse and let go of. But
Sounds
now,
like you were missing out on like the gingerbread house delivered to you by your town or whatever.
yeah, wasn't my experience, as the kids say. Um, and then we have Kevin, who actually really did make a very solid point, which is to say, and I'm quoting here: the kids wanted to start a fight club in the park, and you are upset that the rec department was proactive and asked the police department to do what they could legally to prevent these kids from beating the crap out of each other and giving each other life-threatening injuries, because MCH has nothing better to do during a COVID surge to deal with this. And then he ends it with, "You hit the nail on the head when you use the word odd." And then Kevin founded a GoFundMe saying, "Help Andrew give the Fight Club kids a good Christmas." So that is still out there, guys.
And how's that GoFundMe doing in terms of its goal?
Let's check. I heard that they got at least one donation. They've actually raised $55 um, of the $5,000 goal. So kudos to Kevin for fundraising for the fundraiser. This is great. And then, another select board member, Bill Taylor, comments with what I think is really the most solid answer in terms of like why the rec committee might have had, alerted the police and put this on record and all kinds of stuff. And that's because of like liability. And that's because you have to do that. They don't really have a choice. And he says, imagine when one of these kids was seriously hurt in the fight club that, rec and police allowed to go on, you know? Because that's what happens is
Yeah,
then the town gets sued, and then we lose another
exactly.
2.3 million, and we can't blame Karen Hatcher this time, so then what? You know what I mean? Like, and that's, it's the right thing to do in any organization, you know um
And my understanding is this is something that has been going on with this individual. Like this is a repeat thing, right?
Yeah.
I was just at the meeting where it was brought up, the one that he probably read the minutes of. I didn't get the whole backstory. I don't know the whole backstory, but my understanding was, oh, it's that person again trying to
Mm.
cause trouble again.
Mm.
Like we
Yeah.
should let the cops know, kind of thing.
Yep. And
Like
then
they don't. You're right. Like they have no choice. Like that's what they're supposed to do. Like
that is, of
that's what
course, what they're
any of
supposed to
us are
do.
supposed to do in that circumstance.
Yep. And then, you know, and then, and then Roxanne was, I believe, the first to point out the inherent contradictions of the whole thing, which was, imagine trying to do something nice for some kids in our community while dragging a department that is pretty much there solely to provide nice things for the kids of our community. Which tickles me. But then Andrew fires back at Bill Taylor saying, not sure what any of that has to do with Christmas presents. And that inspired me to just point out that, like, we've got half the plot of a Hallmark Christmas special right here. You know, the kids, this is next year. This is going to be next year's hit, is, you know, the quests to bring restorative justice Christmas presents to the Fight Club kids of Adam's Playground.
And the
And
romance element is like between the Andrew character and like the cop that like is first his enemy. Because you need that in a Hallmark Christmas special.
obviously you need the conflict of identities, you know.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, so yeah, and just going down, so you guys get the big gist. And then other people start pointing out, like, wow, I don't know what to think about this whole thing. Which I like. and, and then somebody was making some point that I didn't even understand, which was, anyone want to bet several of those on this thread were the great minds behind defund the police? That aged well. Like, maybe he's saying that some of the people who think it's cool that they told the police about the Fight Club also wanted to defund. I mean, maybe that's true. I'm not seeing it. I asked him to say who. He didn't want to explain. So he didn't. But and anyway, and then there's a good pro police post after this. You know, Fight Club, what will they want next? Dog fighting? Ask Michael Vick how that turned out. Nice job by the Recreation Department and Police Department. That is true. Next thing you know, they would be the ice skating rink down there would be just taken up as like a dog fighting.
No, I mean,
and
that's what the new dog park is for. Am I not? Maybe I'm not supposed to say.
dog fight. It's for fights.
No, I'm joking.
Oh,
But like, you know, they're trying to make a dog park, right?
yeah.
My joke
I
is
know.
that it's secretly for fights.
Have we talked about dog parks on this show before?
I don't know. Are we gonna like diss the rec departments after defending them? We can.
Dog parks are for places where people don't have yards. That's all I will say about it. That's why they got invented. Putting them in a rural town is like so strange to me. But all right, we don't have to.
But can we talk about Andrew Osterman, how he ran on the topic of dog parks in his election? That
did
they
he?
were.
I don't remember that, actually.
He was the one who mentioned that would be a great place for kids to learn how to socialize with dogs, which is like the dumbest dog park take of them all, in my opinion. Because I know that I want to bring my kids to a dog park so that they can play with strange dogs, so they won't be scared of dogs anymore. How about you, Sam? Want to do that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I think dogs are typically more afraid of my daughter than she is of dogs. But generally speaking, though, I think it's probably useful.
Oh, you like that?
I mean,
all right. Maybe I'm.
I also wonder though how much
I'm
dog
being
parks.
halfway facetious, but how much
like,
dog parks?
I kind of wonder though these days, like how much dog parks are even getting utilized in the city now that there's Tinder.
Well, I was gonna say, dog parks, isn't it just for singles that have cute animals so they can try to get dates?
That's really like at least half the point. Thing. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and like
that's what I think of when I think of dog parks. They're like all my single friends that talk about going to the dog
before
park.
The dating app era. You know, you just sort of stroll down to the dog park, like, oh, there's your cute dog. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this was like a
Oh.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, like
See, my brother
it's what you
has
did
dogs and
back in the
lived in
old.
LA and really did take them to the dog park for like dog exercise. So, but he
Mm,
also lived in LA,
Yeah,
didn't
no,
have
no,
a
I
yard.
know. No, it's true.
right. There's that. Yeah.
And I
Yeah, we
guess
have
I do feel bad for
sidewalks,
Peterborough singles.
parks.
You know, it's not an
Oh
awesome place to
yeah.
be single. You know,
No, definitely not.
I've never had to
Definitely
do it.
not. I have.
Yeah,
Not
not
a good
easy,
place to
right?
be single. No.
Yeah, so that
Well, not
maybe
if
all
you're
right. Maybe I'm.
interested in meeting anybody, then it's not easy, right? Of course, you gotta
Yeah,
go somewhere else because there's not a lot of people to meet that are single in Peterborough, right? So maybe they ought to start a damn dog park for those people.
yeah. Maybe I'm flipping my position here, not for the dogs, but for the singles. You know,
Yeah,
um,
If
I
there's
agree.
not going to
No,
be
the
music
dogs, the
at
dogs don't need it.
Harlow's, if there's not like concerts, bars to hang out in, you can go to the dog park.
yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, like, no offense to anybody, but I don't think you're gonna meet your next date at like Brady's.
I hope not. I fucking hope
No
not.
offense, no, and it's not a slight
Nothing
on
against
anybody. I just
Brady. It's
don't think
just
it's a
saying.
place for you. It's just not probably the place for young singles,
No, or even less than young singles, or
old
more
singles.
than old singles.
Yeah,
That's where I'm going. But the direction I'm aiming
elderly
for here.
singles shouldn't go there either.
Any kind of singles, I think it's it's not a good place to go
No,
if you're single.
where would you go? Like, I mean, I don't know. I
I
don't.
don't know, Manchester.
Yeah, right,
not,
man. Yeah, yeah,
not Peterborough. You're not gonna
yeah,
fucking stay around here, that's for sure. But
yeah. That's
maybe
true.
you would go to Harlow's, I guess.
Like,
Be kind of
if you go to
lonely.
Harlow's like every day for a few years, like you might meet someone that you've never met before who's single.
Right. It's still a fat chance though. It's not guaranteed by any means.
No,
No.
yeah, not at all. So, all right, let's open. All right, rec department. I'm not even making fun of you anymore. Open the dog park so that our young people can find love
You gotta have somewhere to go.
or
Job
whatever.
lots. I mean,
Right,
you,
right.
where you go?
And some you hear stories sometimes about people like meeting someone in the grocery aisle, but like you don't want that to be Shaw's. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Not the Peterborough Shaws, anyways. No way.
No. Nope.
Oh,
Yeah. So, speaking of which, this is a great time in the episode to remind all of the young singles and young couples and young, old, and in between polycules that you may sponsor this program. Your message, your service, your business, your special appointments could be featured right here in the middle of this episode with a captive audience who's been listening to our bizarre jokes about dog parks and saving the Fight Club kids through the magic of the ghost of Christmas future or whatever. They're locked in. They're listening right now. They're not going to hit that skip ahead 30-second button. They're not going to just like glance over it like it's in the newspaper. No, this is a captive audience right here. And I can help it work for you. So sponsorships are available at a very low rate. The bang for your buck in terms of the attentive listenership that you have through an endorsement from this program is almost certainly better than any of your other local advertising opportunities. I'll say that right now with a straight face. So please, if that is appealing to you, if you want to reach a brand new audience directly into their ears and their hearts, contact Sam at monadnockunderground.com, and he can hook you up. All right.
Goddamn right. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So what else do we got on the docket today?
Who'd you piss off, Chris? Anybody lately or no?
Well, I know it's been several episodes in a row. I was able to say that I hadn't really pissed too many people off. We ended that streak. I've
It's about time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
and not even in the Fight Club post, right?
No, nobody got mad at me there. Mostly because there was too chaotic, I think, to actually get mad at any one party necessarily. There was, there was, it was actually, that post succeeded at being one of those things that was simply too, and it's rare these days, right? But it was simply too complicated and out there to actually draw a line through, so that people could be polarized about it. Like, it defied polarity because and that's actually a really unique thing. So maybe that's the real spirit of Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Mm.
is, is what was done in that post. But no, I've made several people angry in other ways, in other other places. But the big story though is that somehow I seem to have angered the big man himself, Don Zuckerberg. I have not kissed the ring. I have not come to him in friendship. He's we have some problems. So there's some of it is explainable. Well, all of it's explainable, I suppose, if you look at the big picture. But in the specifics, right? What happened was one day I went in, and so I have the ad account for Go Monadnock, and we boost these posts because we're a relatively new media outlet, and that's Facebook is, if you're not aware, it is a pay to play system, and so in order to get a fair amount of regional folks aware of who we are, what we're doing, and things like that, we do sponsored posts. I mean, many of you have probably seen them before. Sometimes we boost podcast episodes, and so it's kind of important, and we do that through my ad account. Well, one day I go in and just I'm scrolling through the posts on the Go Monadnock page, and it's just like boost unavailable. And long story short, it turned out that was not an error, which I thought it was at first. But I have been banned from ever posting ads on Facebook again for the rest of my life. They would not tell me what I did, so I don't know what post it was that made them upset. I don't know what rule I broke. They kept sort of insisting to me that I broke an ad policy, but I really am sure that it's something else that I said. I don't think that I have done anything wrong with the actual ads. I've been
And
running ads for years.
and when you say they, like, it was definitely a robot.
I spoke with the machine. I spoke
Yes.
with the machine
There's
that
nothing
had
human about that
personality.
interaction.
Yeah, true. But there was no recourse for me on that. And I found out a little bit after that concurrent with that, I also seem to have lost my privileges to go live at all. So I'm not allowed. That's why we didn't when we posted our bridge video a couple weeks ago. We recorded it and then uploaded it rather than broadcasting live because I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
And
So unknown thing.
weren't they like the reason you can't do it is because it's been decided, and it's been decided because we looked at it and decided it?
Yes, they were like
Like,
they were like, it has been decided that you have no appeal because the decision that has been made is final. And we're not going to tell you what the offense was, what the actual decision was, who looked at it, nothing
yeah.
whatsoever. So it's like I'm like a hair's breadth away from being like Donald Trump kicked off Twitter and Facebook and all this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, not really,
Yeah, wow.
but like that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And then this week, so this began late last week. Then this week, this time I did violate the terms and conditions. Like, yes, I mean, this would have been a fine thing to say a couple of years ago, but you're not allowed to say mean things on Facebook anymore. PSA. But no, I was actually banned personally then for 24 hours. Since elapsed. I'm a free man at the moment I'm a free man who can't run ads. I'm like a convicted felon who can't vote. You know what I mean? Like for
Yeah.
life now, my ad rights are taken away.
Or legally
and,
own a handgun.
and yeah, right, exactly. And I can't go live.
Yeah, that's the equivalent
And
of going live.
yes. Yes, precisely. So but this time what happened was there was a positive news story article talking about how it sure appears that Pfizer's therapeutic COVID pill that you can take if you get COVID, it actually works really well. Works fucking great. Okay, this is good news, right? We should be happy about that. right? Takes the onus away from just vaccination, solve some problems, save some lives. And supposedly that's the goal, even though sometimes it appears that the goal is moral posturing. But supposedly the goal is saving lives. So if that is your goal, that's good news, right? Well, someone decided to comment on that article that they hope that this therapeutic is only available to the vaccinated. And not only is that just generally a horrible thing to say, but like by the logic of the prevailing narrative, it's the like this pill is for the unvaccinated, right? I mean, this is, everybody says you're not going to go to the hospital and have a serious case if you're vaccinated, probably. But if you're unvaccinated, you're overwhelming the hospitals. So, hey, look, a solution to that problem. They take this pill. It works. That's what the article was saying. It works. And this person who, I guess would probably claim in another context that she wants to save lives because that is the goal, right? Right? Just wished by her own definitions a whole bunch of people dead. And and that makes me mad. So I commented, I hope you get hit by a car. And I meant it. I hope she got hit by a fucking car. What a terrible person. Um, You're not allowed to say that though, guys. You can't say that. They will suspend you. And it was a relatively quick. She might have reported. It was long enough that it could have been
Probably.
it could have been either a robot or it could have been a human reporting. But there's a lot going on with the algorithm that's instant now. That is clearly not human in origin. So beware in general. But you are not allowed on Facebook in 20. I'm telling you. Look, I mean, I get the memories now, right? I joined Facebook at the end of 2016. Okay. So, I do that a lot. 2006. Okay.
I
Yeah,
was going to
okay.
say, I know I've seen memories from you that are more than 10 years old.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. So, going back 15 years, right? On there. Let me tell you, like 80 to 90% of that time, it was allowed to say, for good or for ill, whether that's a nice thing to say to other people or not, you may have an opinion about that, and that's okay. But it was not an offense that would get you in trouble to say, to someone wishing death upon millions of people that you hope that they get hit by a car. It is now. That's a crime.
It used to be just
So
like a socialist party crime, internal socialist
correct,
party crime to be mean on on Facebook.
correct. I was charged with that, if you can imagine. Um, um, anyway, so this does drive the point home though. Like we have internally, and I think we've certainly discussed this outside of this group, if not, but maybe not on the pod or whatever. But like we we know, I mentioned earlier that part of what we do is we run these sponsored posts. But even as we do that, we know and understand that sooner rather than later because we intend to stick around for a while, and sooner rather than later in our life as an organization, we intend to decouple our primary presence from Facebook. We want to reach you via our email list, via a podcast subscription directly. Like if you subscribe to this podcast, like any other podcast, this just gets delivered, for anybody who isn't aware. So there's lots of ways that we can just reach you directly without using social media. It's going to take a couple of years really to make that shift successfully. And I understand that. But this underscores the need. And it really just reminds, like, it's not just us, right? It's not just that Chris DiLoretto is eventually going to get like wiped off of this platform, like, which is, I'm coming around to the idea that it probably is. The platform is not meant for someone with my personality at this point. It just isn't. They don't want me. They like Mark literally doesn't want people like me there anymore, And so I don't think he would be sad to get rid of me. And so it may happen, but that's not the point though. The point is that like this is going to happen to lots of people, and the idea of Facebook as this like never ending hub, because I mean it does have what, couple billion people on it and everything, which that's why when people are like, yeah, fuck Facebook, we'll start something else, it's like, all right, call me when you get 500 million people on there, at least, you know what I mean? And then it's worthwhile because then enough of the people that might be there, right? But until that happens, it's got to reach critical mass, and it never does, right? But I also don't think Facebook is going to retain that critical mass because it's alienating its own user base, and it has been doing so for a couple of years now, and it clearly intends to keep doing that. And I think it's going to just, I mean, I'm not saying everybody's going to leave Facebook, but the idea of it being, the place where we all are connected primarily, I don't think is going to last. I don't think it's going to last more than another couple of years. I really don't. Maybe I'll be wrong about that, but um, in any case, I think what remains of it is going to be very slum-like, because that's what it's become at this point. Um, it's not what it was. It's a dingy, um, unappealing, unfun sort of place, and they want to make that into like a virtual reality metaverse. Um, I don't want to go to it.
Yeah, I mean, people are already getting groped in that dingy
Yes,
meta alley.
yes, which is raising all kinds of ethical questions because in the beta testing, there are people who are getting their pixels felt up, um, in the
I
in the
appreciate
stream.
your gesture there.
I mean, like, yeah, and I mean, they didn't. No, I don't think anybody had a screen grab of it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know exactly what I'm picturing, but I'm sure it didn't. I don't know, involved a squeeze, um, of some kind. But what
Virtual
do you
squeeze.
do? What do you do with such an ethical dilemma as non-consensual, non-touching? I don't. I mean, is this the world you guys want? Is you know what I mean? Like that, I'm not going along on that part of the ride. I'm off. Call me a luddite if you want, but that sounds miserable.
Yeah. The article I read about it said that like you can block anybody that does that. You can permanently ban them from ever seeing your like avatar. I don't understand it. It's one of those things. Like I said something the other day. I'm too old for TikTok. I'm too old for like
Oh yeah.
Snapchat. Like this is just like anything even newer than that. I'm just not even going to pay attention to. I just can't.
So, so that raises some interesting images in my mind because so like think about how it is like when you block somebody on Facebook, right? And there could be like this thread, right, where like people who are not connected to either of you can see both of your comments, but you can't see theirs and they can't see yours. But sort of sometimes you can detect their presence because people are responding to something you can't see,
Yeah, yeah.
etc. So in the metaverse, are there like invisible people like who are visible to other people? Like, do you bump into each other? Like, how do you occupy the same space? You know what I mean? Like, because this is visual now, right?
Right.
Um,
If you
so
can feel the grope, can you feel the bump of the
right,
invisible?
right. Like, is it like, like you keep like you're like coming up against something and you can't see it, but it makes you feel uneasy and you can't go into it. You know what I mean? And that's someone that you've blocked. Like they're like an evil
Like a
presence in the
spirit
room.
presence. You get a little
Yes,
cold.
guys, don't go to the metaverse. Don't just don't do it. Just don't. We like Facebook. And I actually have been on the record many times defending Facebook more than most. I use it more than most. It'd be very hypocritical for me to just be glib about, being like Facebook has bad effects on our mind, which it does, but it's not whatever. I mean, I also like cigarettes, you know what I mean? Like I quit like 6 months ago, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's plenty of things that I like that I have a hard time separating myself from that are not necessarily like healthy or whatever. And Facebook's one of them, and that's fine. Um, so I don't say this as like a social media, doomsday prophet, all this time. No, I mean, like I've gotten a lot out of social media. I've enjoyed the connection. I love the ability to stalk my former classmates. I mean, as we remember, that's as I used to insist throughout the 20 teens. I mean, that's what this is for. Now I think it's
Oh
for
yeah.
something else, and I don't really understand because now enough time has gone on that none of us gives a fuck what our classmates are doing anymore because we've seen it, and it's not, I
It's
mean, I
not that
don't mean to be
interesting.
mean. I actually went to school with a lot of really talented people who ended up doing interesting things. But once I only really need to know for most of these people once every like 4 or 5 years. I get curious,
Yeah.
every day and stuff. Now, not super necessary, right?
And
Um,
and my exes aren't even on Facebook by and large. So like I
I
don't even have
only
that
have
benefit.
I only have a couple of X's on my feed. I used to have more.
Uh,
Um,
but
well,
did
no,
you
I
ever
have
do?
three. I have three.
Yeah, mine are
I
just
have
like not Facebook people, like
I
as a
have three
rule.
fairly important X's actually that are on there. I should say the most important ones, except for my ex-wife, are on there. Um, but um, yeah, I'll let that sit. I'll let that go. But
I was gonna ask a follow-up question, but I'll leave it.
no, no, let's just leave that
But
there.
did you ever do like
In the
the? Did
spirit of
you ever go
Christmas.
on classmates.com in like the pre-Facebook era
Yeah,
to
but
try
don't
to
you have to
stalk
pay for
people?
that? So like, I never got further than because isn't there like a barrier at some point?
I think that there is to like yes, and again, I haven't been on it since Facebook like scratched that itch or whatever, but like there was a
Yeah.
time where you could go on there and like you could if anyone had uploaded like pictures from your yearbook, you could go
Uh
look at
huh.
yearbook pictures for free and there's like a comment wall where you could like leave a comment but you couldn't put an email address in it.
Oh,
Like
weird.
I because I tried once.
They want to keep you on classmates.com.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you would have to pay to actually like access like the ability to communicate with any of your classmates. But yeah, that your classmate stalking thing made me remember that dark time.
Yeah, I mean it's a need. It's a need we all have, at least to a certain point. Like I said, like now I kind of feel like I know, you know. And we're also like as we approach 40, like we're also get like now granted, I'm sure there will be another wave of divorces in the next 5 years or so. So there that will happen. I don't mean to be mean or cast aspersions, but statistically that's what's about to happen to all the people I went to school with. Like the people who didn't get their first divorce out of the way early, like some of us did. You know what I mean? And so I got my divorce out of the way, so I'm good. Anybody who was stalking me back in like 2011, 2012, caught caught that in its flare. So good for you. You that was like peak classmate stalking, and I was putting on a good show. Um, so um, so congrats on anyone who was there at that time. It was a nice time. But anyways, I make that point just to sort of say that like a lot of the people have been like they're sort of on a career trajectory, like whatever they're going to do for a living, like we've kind of figured that out, right? If they're going to marry, we've kind of figured that out. There's not going to be too many more people marrying for the first time. Again, the divorces will come, you know but like again, approaching 40, most of the people that are going to have kids have at least begun having kids you know um most and even statistically, most of the ones who are going to go to jail have already gone to jail. You know what I mean? Like real. I mean, like that sounds flippant, but like even like when it comes to crime statistics, right? Like you're so much less likely to like commit, like to like begin your life of crime after like 30. You know,
I'm trying
so
to think if I have any of those. I don't know if I do. Do you?
I have had some friends who have been in jail. Yeah,
All right.
yes.
I got a big one. Yeah, he's in life in prison kind of
Oh
thing.
Oh,
wow.
that
It's
sucks.
awful.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
sorry to
brutal.
hear that.
Yeah, he
I
was
have
late 20s at the time, but so it speaks to your
right. So
after
typical.
30. It's probably yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, I have a shit ton of dead Facebook friends, and
Oh
not all
yeah.
of them are old either. Some of them are classmates
No,
actually,
a lot of mine are young.
which is a
I have
bummer.
lots.
I have a
Yeah, and the
lot of
birthdays
dead
the
Facebook.
birthdays show up, and you don't know. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're dead, and like I don't
I
want to,
I
happy
I
birthday, or even
once
take the moment to look at their Facebook profile either. I mean, that's probably more lazy on my part, but you wish somebody happy birthday and like their mother still reads it or something.
well,
You're
and
like,
think
ooh.
about me, right? My birthday line for everybody is "You made it." You know,
Oh
Oh
God,
um,
yeah,
yeah.
that's true. That's true.
to my knowledge, I've only fucked it up once, right? I legitimately didn't know because it was somebody who didn't use Facebook very much anyway. It was a former coworker of mine. But I posted on his wall. This is a few years ago now. Um, Happy birthday, you made it. And another like, and like he had been a coworker from so long ago that we only had a few mutuals at that point. It had been whittled down over time. But one of those mutuals sent me a message and was like, "Bro, And I'm like, what? Because I literally, and he's like, and actually, this is even worse. Like, we don't know if he's dead. Actually, he like disappeared at some point.
Oh.
Um, and this isn't the guy who disappeared from single digits, because there was another guy who they
Oh,
found him.
that's
That's an even worse story, because they found him and then he died a year later. So he was like
oh my
disappeared,
gosh.
found, and dead. But he quit Facebook. He's not one of my dead Facebook friends, because he
Oh,
quit Facebook beforehand. But no, this is
oh
a guy I
man.
worked with at CNS Wholesale like 15 years ago. And he supposedly was never seen again at some point. And no one knows what happened. So that's the only time it's dark, right? That's the only time I've messed that
Yeah.
up. And of course I'm like, sorry, man. Like, I seriously had no idea. I went and deleted it right away. And everything. But yeah, that's the thing, is that I think I mostly know who the deceased ones are. And there's a bunch of them. But yeah. So anyways, though, other than those things though, more deceased people, like divorces, things like that, like, it's unlikely that there's any big news. You know what I mean? Like we all turned out. Like, we're 40. Like there's no like, see how we turned out. Like, turned out is now. You know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah.
that our life is over, but like in the trajectory of, say, an American middle class life, which again, I recognize, listeners with sharp ears, I recognize that that's not everybody. It is everybody that I went to high school with. And that is who I'm talking about here. So yes, in the trajectory of like your average, middle class, whatever, this is, we have arrived at where we are turning out. So I already know, so it's just it's, and more people are going to start leaving. They already have been, over the last couple of years. And you can see that on your Facebook page, like on a computer, right, in a browser. If you go into your friends list, you can see everybody on there who hasn't defriended you but is deactivated. They still show up in your list, and there's way more of those than there are deceased people. Um, Tons of them on mine. And again, more and more every year. And most of the people that I know that leave are, there's always those people that chronically deactivate and then come back,
Mm.
But I'd say a huge chunk of these people that I see when I scroll through, I'm like, oh my God, they left like 4 years ago and didn't look back. Like, there's a lot of them. And I think it's going to increase because it's become a more unpleasant place, and it's going to continue to. And I don't know. I don't see a positive end.
Yeah. I mean, I've been one of those people who left for years and then I came back because of like our various projects. It's
Yeah.
convenient to
Stuff
be
like
on
this.
Facebook for,
Yeah.
you know. But I'm excited to not feel like I have to be, I guess. I definitely came back and like stopped sharing my life,
Yeah.
you know.
I just yell at people. I just make posts
Well, okay, so I
castigating the
did I
public.
did use Facebook for like a very Facebooky thing last week when I
Mm.
tried to like crowdsource my song that was stuck in my head.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And but you didn't figure it out from Facebook though, right?
Well, I didn't, but it was because I had made the post that I like so I had this like piece of a song stuck in my head and it had been bothering me for weeks and I like
Mm-hmm.
everyone was like making these guesses. It was like a little flute riff, right? And so everyone was making like really good creative guesses of like what this flute song could be that was stuck in my head and no one was getting it right. And so I like decided to go post the song that I had heard that made me think of the song that I didn't know that was stuck in my head. And it was because I went and posted that and I like read the YouTube comments that led me to it. But I don't know if I would have done that if not for like trying to help people help me, you know? And it turned out to be an
It
ABBA
worked.
song,
Yeah.
which I would never have guessed because I never had actually heard that whole song. I just like past that little opening flute riff that gets into the lyrics and I'm like I've never heard this. I don't know why this is in my head and I still don't know why. That is a mystery that Facebook cannot help
Yes,
me with.
that's funny though, is that your brain can't just kind of popped out with that, like
It had
yeah.
to have been in the background of something, a commercial or a show or something.
My suggestions were in order. That Four Non Blonde song, What's Up, which I'm pretty positive has no actual flute in it. I just like I had I had been making jokes about that song like earlier in the day or like the day before or something like that. And so I was just like, well, this is a strange post looking for a flute song. I bet it's this. And so obviously it wasn't that. Then I suggested Checkout Time by Tupac Shakur, because that
Hmm.
was for some reason the next thing that came to mind. Because it does sort of, I don't know, it's not a real flute, but she was saying it wasn't really a typical classical flute. So it's some kind of electronic flute in the
Yes.
hook of that
Which
song.
was a good guess because it turned out to be like a synthesized flute. I thought I
Yeah.
like my brain had like down pitched it and I was like, "Oh, it's like a pan flute." It was not. You were more right
Mhm.
on with your Dr. Dre.
And then I threw out, no, it's Tupac, but
I mean Tupac.
but it was yeah, yeah. Um, Dr. Dre, no, see, Dr. Dre is one of my living Facebook friends, guys. Come on now. Tupac's been dead for a long time. Um,
I don't even know why I did that. Brain fart.
but anyways, the then I said the hustle, which is kind of more of a typical flute, but it's a great flute song if we're gonna do a flute.
More
Um,
and again, like disco genre. So you were like circling around
yeah, and a better
somehow.
song. It's a better song than what the real answer was. You know?
I'm not saying it's a good song that I even like.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah.
what was there.
Um, indeed.
Hey, so how
Excuse me.
about you got me looking at my Facebook friends list to see how many of them are deactivated, and there are quite a few. But the how about the guy that that's you go through the friends list or it comes up with a birthday, and you realize that they have like 9 different Facebook
Yeah, yeah,
accounts
yeah.
and
Like
they're all the same,
I
all
have
the
a ton of those. Yes, I have a bunch.
same name. Nothing's
Yeah.
changed, just a different picture. It's like they gave up or got locked out or forgot their password and didn't decide to recover it. I
Or in
just saw
some
one.
cases,
He had like 7, I think. It's like,
like I
wow,
have at
why do
least
you
one
do
guy,
that?
like the guy on my feed with the most profiles, it's because he keeps getting banned. And so,
Oh,
but sometimes he gets the original account back. So like he'll get banned and then he'll create like a ban account for during the like 30 days or whatever that he's banned for. And then he'll go
oh,
back to the
interesting.
regular one. But then when he gets banned again, for some reason, he won't go back to the original ban account. Like he'll make another one. And so that's why
Huh.
he's got this like growing number of,
Oh
and
wow.
what's hilarious is that this is one of the few people that I'm still friends with from like socialism days because he's actually a really funny guy and a cool fellow. But I have no idea what his actual last name is. I don't because none of the accounts actually have his real last name.
Huh.
Huh.
There are those too. Yeah,
Yep.
that use fake names or change their names periodically to names that are also fake, and then they still have the same account. It's just a different name, and then I don't know who they are. It's odd. It's an odd place, Facebook. I can only imagine what it would be like if it's the metaverse, the meta slums.
People walking around bumping into people that
Yeah,
they don't want to exist in their
Hey,
world.
I haven't seen
You
you
know?
in 15 years. It's like, yeah, thank God I didn't want to see you. That's why you haven't seen me. And now here we are, animated in meta world.
Well, then do
I
It's
will
a
those
say
bad
people who
idea.
make like 7 accounts, do they have like, are they like,
7
is
iterations
it
of
like
themselves.
Horcruxes? Like their soul is split into 7 pieces? Do they get like dimmer each time? And it's like,
I like
Yeah,
that.
probably, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's just I feel like it's going towards a just an increasingly sad um, sort of space. But so I will say I should add though the only people there's a couple of very key people that I am super curious about because they were like, in fact, let's call them the whales, okay? Because like how the whales like in like an and the dolphins and shit like in an evolutionary sense like they evolved out of the water and like became mammals and then they were like fuck it, never mind, bad idea, and went back into the water. You know what I mean? Um, there's a couple of people that you can still see in the shadowy deactivated Facebook thing on my list, right? But they did this in like early 2007 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they went up on dry land and they were like, bad idea, never mind, and never came back. Um,
Hmm.
and a couple of them were actually people that I was at one point in time. They were people I would consider myself to have been close with, and would love to find out what they're doing and catch up with. But like, we lost touch like before the era of where it was so easy to find somebody, and because they have no online presence, it's not easy to find them now, you know.
Have you
And
tried classmates.com?
I have tried a lot of different things. I don't know that I have tried that one yet, but I can almost guarantee, like, literally, there's one girl. The best I was able to find, though, I was actually able to piece together several details from her life from like a press account that was like quoting her father or something, and it made reference to her. And I'm like, all right, so I think I figured out like roughly what she's doing. That I think she got divorced because she married. She, like, around the time she left Facebook, she did like a super young marriage, you know, and that I don't think worked out. And so she's probably doing good. She's probably much happier for having never gone onto the not never stayed onto the land. Um, but I wouldn't mind running into, you know what I mean, like, um, she's a like, those are the only people I'm left to be curious about. But Facebook's never going to solve it because they're never going to come on there, you know?
Right.
Hmm.
Right. You're not going to meet them in the back alley.
No, it's over. Like, I think the time for like actually finding people that like you don't know what happened to at this point is mostly over, you
Yeah.
know? Although I say that, and I did like 2 days ago, I looked up a coworker, a dude that I worked with when I was like 15 or 16, and found him. But, we have no mutual friends in common. Like, literally, like, we didn't go to the same school. You know what I mean? Like we parted ways in like the year 2000 sometime. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just too, like, I'm like, I can't even justify friending this guy because like the chances of him even remembering my name are really, really low, you know? So I didn't do it, but I found him. He looks like he's doing great. He's got a big ass family. Good for him. Looks like a happy guy.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's that. But enough
Nice.
about Facebook. I think we have determined now that we're approaching the new year. I think we pretty much can safely say who the winner is in the fierce photography calendar wars.
Okay. Do we want to remind our listeners who the players are, and then I'll give a little drum roll, and then Sam can
Indeed.
reveal it?
Indeed.
That'd
So
be
we've
great.
got the former champion, who kind of ran the market before, was Ledger, the newspaper editor, Ben
Which
Conant,
newspaper?
one of the newspapers,
Is
and
he the editor or is he just do the sports?
he
I
is
thought he
technically
just
the
did the
editor.
sports. Oh, he just.
Um,
Oh, okay, gotcha. I
is if
wasn't
you look
sure.
at like the masthead of the thing, that's what
Yeah,
it says.
seems like a nice
But
guy.
seems like a nice guy, very talented photographer. I've bought his calendars on multiple occasions. So he really was the calendar guy, up until the present. But newer
Is he
upstart,
not? He's not now. Did you already?
I haven't
Did you
announced.
just?
I'm
Did
just
you
running
just?
through. I'm just naming the players. I'm like, we've got
He's the
for
prior years
the
he was the
existing,
winner.
the defending
Okay,
champion. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I should say. He's the defending champion. That's
I
that's
like
that's what I
that.
was that's what I was going for. Was he's the defending champion? We've got the underdog upstart Jeffrey Settles, who basically graces the Peterborough Facebook page with a very pretty photograph of the town. Basically, at least every day, like around every day, sometimes a couple times a day. And he's been doing this for like 3 or 4 years now, consistently.
Benevolence.
But
In
sheer
light of all
benevolence.
the other hostility and bullshit on the
Yeah.
Peterborough Facebook page, and then there is the
Dan
inimitable.
Dan Milbauer, who is,
Well, Jeff Settles, I think. Then there's the other guy too, the third guy, Dan Milbauer.
yeah, that's what I'm
I'm
saying.
saying
I'm sorry. I
Jeff
thought we were.
Jeff brings a lot of
Oh,
positivity
oh,
to
oh, oh.
Facebook
I
and
thought you were
Peterborough.
trying to move into the next guy. I got you. Sorry, I
No, I
misunderstood.
don't even know
Uh,
the next guy. I'm sure he's very nice too, just like the first guy.
yeah,
But
I think so. I know him probably the least of all. His name is Dan Milbauer, but I do follow him on Instagram. He used to have I don't think he does anymore as much, but he used to have a very active Instagram with local photos that were very nice. He's another very talented photographer. And he was
hmm.
like a late entry into it. Like, he popped up in like December, maybe even a week in, was like, hey, I got calendars too. But
Wow.
I think we can safely say Jeff Settles had to do, I think, 2, maybe 3 runs of his calendars, and he sold out.
Show us the winner.
Show us the winner. He sold out of everything like a couple weeks before Christmas. That's him. That's the man right there.
That beautiful man right there is who sold me both of these
Jeffrey
calendars.
Settles.
And I have to
Congratulations on
admit,
the calendar sales.
I anticipated them being a bit bigger, but in either case, they are beautiful
Are they?
calendars.
Very
There's
nice
two different ones.
Or they're not like a, what I would think of as a traditionally sized calendar. It's just, it's a nice office size, I think. But they
Yeah.
are very, very, very nice calendars. I'm holding it upside down. What can I
Yes,
do?
you are.
But are they two different calendars? The backs look different.
Oh no, I got 2. Yeah, of course. I couldn't just get one and not the other. But there are
So
2.
they're the
He's,
same.
of course, did his job and sold me. No, they're different.
Oh, they're different.
They're different calendars. Yeah, that's what I mean. I
Oh,
wouldn't have bought 2
cool.
for no reason, right?
Well, I thought you were
I
like
thought maybe you were going to give it to
gonna
somebody
give
or
one
something.
away. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Give me a break, guys. Come on. You should
So
know
you're
better
gonna
than
hang
that.
2 calendars in
So
your house?
maybe, yeah. So one is Peterborough, New Hampshire, and the other is the Monadnock region at large. So this one I'm assuming is the Peterborough one, given the back
I
cover
would guess
being
that's probably
the
a safe
Peterborough
guess.
sign.
Yep.
And then this one here, I can't make out which church it is offhand. I think it's Jaffrey. We got all the
Maybe.
towns.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
He still wrote Peterborough on the front. But
Well, so
give
which
him a
one do
break,
you like better?
you know.
Do you have a favorite?
I think I'm not so I live in Temple, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
I can't be so in love with Peterborough anymore like I once was. I used to really, really think it was the best town to live in, but now I'm not as sure. In either case, this has just more variety.
None of us are sure.
I don't think any of us are sure. It's true, but it is the
It's
hub,
a good
the
town
hub
to
of it
live
all.
in, even if it's not the
Yeah.
best town to live in.
Right, it's true.
I think we can safely say that.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
I think
I mean, like, come on, you can't really get in the same room with this guy. I mean,
it's very nice. It's very nice.
That's fucking
and
great.
And to Sam's point, the guy, in terms of like finding something offensive about him, he's like Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like he's got like just the immaculate image. Like there's no controversy on that dude. He's never waited. He has never once been tempted into a single problematic exchange. All he does is share his pretty photos and wish everybody good morning, Peterborough.
Yep.
Good night, Peterborough. Like that's it. And so that in and of itself is like a massive feat, because that's actually not true of either of the other contestants or anybody else, really. You know
Ever.
what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
I think
Or
I've
true.
seen people like even like criticize his photos maybe back a few years ago, because he's been doing that for a while, right? And I don't even remember him having an unkind response.
Nope.
Nothing. Just
Nope. Not at all.
sharing
No,
his gift.
not at all. And actually, sometimes, as in the case with Tom Brady, being too squeaky clean annoys me. I find that itself to be offensive, but not in the case of Jeff. Something about, he pulls it off. He never does it in a righteous way. He's just, I don't know. He seems like a nice guy who takes nice pictures. So congratulations, Jeff. And also, I wanted to compliment him on just the fact that, like, I want to say he's had a prints site, a place where you can order prints of his photos for a while. But I believe this is the first year he's had a calendar. And I just got to say, like, the buildup from a marketing perspective of posting these pretty pictures like daily for years and then dropping a calendar, like, well done, well played.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nicely pulled off. Yeah, I bet he'll win next year too. No offense to anybody. So congrats to Jeff. I would advertise his calendar, but you can't, because you can't get it because he sold out like 2 weeks ago. But
there are still calendars available from the runners up.
That's true. Yes, Ben's are available at the Toadstool at the Aesop's Cafe.
And one of them had calendars that underneath it all, if you need calendars and
Oh yeah,
lingerie.
who was doing that? I think that was Jeff
Nice.
though. Wasn't that
Oh, was it
Jeff?
Jeff? I don't remember.
I
I
think it
just
was
remember
Jeff.
seeing calendars and
But it could be,
lingerie
maybe it was Dan.
combined.
Maybe it was Dan. I don't think it was Ben.
Okay.
But it was one of the other two. But there was a point where poor Jeff, in the middle of his calendar sales, I think he got COVID or something. So he was like out
Oh,
of commission for like a week. And I think if memory serves me correctly, I think he had the calendars at underneath it all while he was like out of commission. Um,
Okay, that makes sense.
like this guy was out of commission for like over a week from COVID, and he still sold them all. So like I don't know. Props to Jeff. Jeff,
big time.
big time, big time.
Hmm.
Congratulations, congratulations. Um, did we have any other big stories to talk about this week, or is this enough to like send our good friends into the new year?
A calendar discussion seems like a great way to, you know, launch into a
It's
new year,
fitting.
in my opinion. It's
It's
fitting.
fitting,
That's yeah,
isn't
no,
it?
apropos. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's light too. I mean, like Jeff,
That's
it's a
right.
very nice, pleasant sort of thing to end on a high note.
Absolutely.
We like
Absolutely.
Jeff a
In
lot.
fact, we should, I don't know. We have talked about this before and we've never actually reached out, but like we kind of should like, I don't know, collaborate with Jeff in some way. I feel like I don't know. So I don't know if you probably this program might be a little bit too controversial for your taste, Jeff, but if this is something
Right.
that you listen to, maybe we'll reach out to you at some point, which is really the thing to do. But we would love to do something cool. Like I don't know, some kind of cross promotional partnership of some kind. You're welcome to have photos featured on our website, of course, and like a link to your photo
Email
thing.
us. Email us,
Email
Jeff.
us. We will
Yeah,
put
Jeff.
we will put we as always we will have all of the information in the thing. So before I give a parting word of advice, I just want to say thank you to our sound lord, Chad Patterson at studio117.net, not .com. Remember that? It's like whitehouse.com. Don't do that. Studio117.net. For all of your mixing and audio production needs. He does a great job. In the previous episode to this one, if you may have noticed that my voice was slightly less seductive than usual. We don't know why. I might have been talking into the wrong microphone, even though this one was here. It's possible. He still made it sound very, very velvety. So the guy can do anything. He does this for us out of the goodness of his heart. He's a wonderful man. So please, for your 2022 needs, audio wise, Chad is available and excited, and he's a wicked pleasant guy to work with. So, as always, we end this show with an exhortation to take good advice. And my my only real piece of good advice going into 2022 is, I don't know, try not to make the mistake of like declaring it your year. You know, um, the the zombies song, "This Will Be Our Year." I fucking love that song. It's a really really nice song. It's very pretty. You know, I've liked it for many years. When it played in the television program Mad Men, on Valentine's Day, when his daughter tells him that he loves her, she's the only one all day who said anything loving to him, whatever. And then that song starts playing. It's like one of the most impactful moments of the series. Love that song. This is not the year to play that song. Don't. I love it. It's great, but don't get into it. Just hang on to that song for a different year. Hang on to that sentiment. Um, Not to say that I think you're gonna have that everybody's gonna have a bad year in 2022, but like come on, like let's just learn our lesson from the last couple. And you know I don't know. I don't know, guys. Like we kind of vowed at the beginning of recording this that we weren't going to get into like certain subjects that are everywhere that you can't avoid. But like, if you guys have seen any of those subjects and the ways everyone's behaving and everything, I don't know. To me, as like Polly and the Sopranos might say, fuck do I know? But it doesn't seem like 2022 is going to really start off on a great note. That's going to like bring a bunch of happiness and like joy and like prosperity to all of us. I just wouldn't bet on it, is all I'm saying. You can hope for it, wish for it, aim for it. By all means, I'm still aiming for all of those things. However, maybe understand somewhere in the back of your mind that like it's probably not the year to make declarations or proclamations or you know, real optimistic or stretch goals, as some in the business community say. This isn't the year for your stretch goals. Don't, you know, this is go for what you can get, and may God be with you in your quest every bit as much as he or she is with Andrew Osterman. On that note, Happy New Year. Take good advice. We'll see you next year in the Space Lounge. Thank you all for joining.